Hello, everyone. My name is Cameron Baptiste, and I'm a lead meteorologist with the National Weather Service that covers the Houston Galveston area. As we approach hurricane season, it is more important than ever to ensure that we, our families, our friends, and our communities are prepared. With the right preparation, we're able to reduce our risk and will be ready for anything that Mother Nature can throw our way. Throughout this presentation, we're going to take a brief review over last year's season. Then we'll discuss hurricanes in general, the outlook for the 2026 season, and steps that you can take to become prepared before hurricane season begins. So let's begin. In summary, the 2025 Atlantic hurricane season was slightly below average. There were 13 named storms, 5 hurricanes, and 4 major hurricanes. Only one tropical cyclone, which was Tropical Storm Chantal, made landfall in the United States, and there was only one tropical cyclone, which was Tropical Storm Barry, within the Gulf. For the first time since 2015, there were no landfalling hurricanes in the United States. Hurricane Melissa was one of the strongest hurricanes landfalls on record as it made landfall in Jamaica in late October. Hurricane season officially runs from June 1st through November 30th, but storms have formed before in the month of May as recently as 2021. Activity tends to ramp up in August and peaks in September. For Texas, the risk starts to taper off by October as hurricane track climatology trends eastward. Now, how do we determine the category of hurricanes? Hurricanes are rated using the Saffir-Simpson Hurricane Wind Scale, so it primarily refers to the wind hazard and is only partially related to the storm surge. Keep in mind that the scale doesn't capture tornadoes or rainfall that causes flooding, which for the latter one are often the deadliest parts of a storm. Hurricanes rated Category 3 or above are classified as a major hurricane. Now, with that in mind, was Hurricane Ike back in 2008 a major hurricane at landfall? It indeed was not. Hurricane Ike was a high-end Category 2 hurricane, but that goes to show that even a non-major hurricane can still have widespread devastating impacts. Since 2017, the Gulf Coast has seen more major hurricanes rated Category 3 or above than we have seen in the greater than 50-year period extending from 1963 to 2016. The Gulf can quickly turn a tropical storm into a major hurricane, leaving little time to prepare. That's why preparing ahead of the season is key in the case of these accelerated timelines. Most of the tropical systems that made landfall in Texas have either developed or rapidly intensified over the Gulf. That means that there's not much time between when a storm develops and when it makes landfall. So as we just talked about, early preparation is key. 8 out of the last 9 tropical cyclones that make landfall in Texas since 2010 have developed within the Gulf. Now let's take a look at some recent storms. Hurricane Ike in 2008 made landfall as a large high-end Category 2. The main hazards with Hurricane Ike were the major storm surge, which led to waves overtopping the 17-foot tall seawall along Galveston Island, along with winds over 100 miles per hour. In July of 2024, Hurricane Beryl reminded us that even a Category 1 hurricane can bring widespread impacts. The eye wall of Beryl moved over the Houston metro area, which brought strong winds that led to over 2 million power outages that extended for multiple days. And in addition to that, we also received 8 to 12 inches of widespread rainfall, which led to flooding. Now let's discuss a few more examples of hurricane hazards. Hurricane Alicia in 1983 brought damaging winds. Hurricane Ike in 2008 again brought major storm surge flooding. And Hurricane Harvey in 2017 dropped historic rainfall along with multiple tornadoes. The main takeaway from this is that every storm is different and each one brings a unique mix of these hazards in different proportions. In the period from 1963 to 2012, storm surge was by far the hazard that caused the most fatalities. However, in the period from 2013 to 2023, rainfall and flooding is now the leading cause of fatalities in tropical systems. Storm surge fatalities decreased from 49% to 11% between these two time periods. Wind and surf hazards also cause fatalities, but at a lower rate compared to rainfall and flooding. Starting in 2021, NOAA updated the average Atlantic hurricane season to reflect the climate record for the time frame of 1991 to 2020. So now an average season is now defined as 14 named storms, with seven of those storms being hurricanes, and three of those hurricanes becoming major hurricanes. Did you know that the water temperatures in the Eastern Pacific has an impact on hurricane activity in the Atlantic? Abnormally warm waters near the equatorial Eastern Pacific, which think of this as off of the west coast of Northwest South America, off of the coast of Ecuador and Peru, that is known as an El Nino. A La Nina is when there's abnormally cooler waters in the same region. A La Nina creates more favorable conditions for tropical cyclone formation due to weaker wind shear over the Atlantic, which means that more storms are possible, while an El Nino creates less favorable conditions, so fewer storms possible. So what's ahead for 2026? Well, we are currently in what we call ENSO neutral conditions, so moving out of a La Nina, moving into an El Nino by the beginning of hurricane season. This is indicated by the warmer than normal water temperatures off of the coast of Ecuador and Peru in the bottom left image. There is potential for a moderate to strong El Nino as well. A strong El Nino just means that the conditions associated with El Nino are more likely to occur. It does not guarantee a certainty. Water temperatures in the western tropical Atlantic are warmer than normal, but water temperatures are cooler than normal in the eastern and tropical Atlantic. Combine that with more likely conditions for increased vertical wind shear across the tropical Atlantic, and that weighs the forecast more towards a below normal season for this year. But remember though, it only takes one storm to make it an active season. NOAA's official outlook for the 2026 season was released on May 21st and calls for a below average season. The probability of this is 55%, while the probability for a near normal season is 35%. Always remember that regardless of the outlook, it only takes one storm to make it an active season. Just because the probabilities favor below normal activity, this does not mean that there will be no activity. As we call back to 1983, there were only 4 named storms that entire season, but one of those storms was Hurricane Alicia, and we all know about the widespread impacts that that storm brought to Southeast Texas. So remember, regardless of what the season is predicted to be, you should always make the proper preparations. Here's a look at the names for the upcoming Atlantic hurricane season, starting with Arthur. These are the same names that were used for the 2020 season with one exception. The name Laura was retired and has been replaced with Leah for this season. Now we're going to get into some hurricane preparedness. Your first step is to know your risk. What are you most vulnerable to? If you're closer to the coast, storm surge is an additional risk compared to more inland locations. Other potential hazards include strong winds, tornadoes, rip currents, and flooding from heavy rainfalls. Hurricanes contain numerous hazards. Your first step is knowing what you're vulnerable to. Next step is to develop your evacuation plan. If you're in an evacuation plan, know your route. Know your route now, and not when the storm is a day away. Have a go bag of supplies ready to go for you, your family, and don't forget your pets as well. Be sure to follow evacuation orders from local officials. Houston and Galveston have designated evacuation routes supported with fuel, food, and emergency resources. Know where to go and how to get there safely. Let someone outside of the evacuation zone know your plans as well. Your next step is to make your disaster kit. This should be put together before hurricane season begins. Have enough food and water for everyone, including pets, for at least 7 days, preferably 10 days. Ensure that your gas tank is full. My personal rule is to not let my gas tank go below half full or half empty throughout the entire season. Make sure your prescriptions are filled if needed, and that you have enough batteries and chargers to power electronic devices in the case of extended power outages. Also ensure you have plenty of flashlights as well, and be sure to have cash on hand for purchases in the event of extended power outages. Next up is to get an insurance checkup. Check in with your insurance agency ahead of the season to discuss what you're covered for. Be sure to keep all of your documentation with you, preferably in waterproof containers to keep them protected. Remember that flood insurance is separate and has a waiting period of 30 days before it takes effect. If a storm is threatening our area, be sure to take the proper precautions to protect your property. You can do things such as covering your windows, bringing in loose outdoor items such as trash cans or patio furniture, or anything that become debris in strong winds. Also, trim your trees, secure your doors, and move your vehicle to a safe location such as a garage if possible. Next up is to assist your neighbors, especially the vulnerable such as senior citizens. Ensure that they have their disaster supply kit ready to go, or help them evacuate if officials direct your location to do so. Check in on them after the storm passes to see if they need any assistance. Now, that was a lot to remember, right? So the best way to remember all of this is by adding it to a written plan. Have a list of all of the supplies you need, evacuation routes, evacuation plans, insurance information, list of essential contacts, and information on staying safe before, during, and after a storm. Additionally, be sure to share your plan with a few people outside of the impact area. This is so that if communication after the storm is limited, someone will know where to find you. During a storm, it is important to keep you and your loved ones safe from the water and wind hazards. Have ways to get weather alerts and take action if needed. For example, know if you need to take shelter from a tornado warning. Be sure to listen to your local officials and do not travel unless you are ordered to evacuate. Hazardous conditions can persist even after the storm has passed. Anything from downed power lines, downed fences, debris, and remnant floodwaters are still dangerous hazards. And don't forget the hazards within the floodwaters, such as that debris, wildlife, and bacteria. If you evacuated your home, only return when local officials say that it is safe to return. Take your time and pace yourself when cleaning up debris, and be sure to check in on your neighbors as well. Be sure that you do not use generators indoors. Use them 20 feet or greater away from your home. And if you are using a generator, be sure to have a working carbon monoxide detector with fresh batteries. Also remember that due to power outages, communications and cell towers may be limited or unavailable. Be sure to get forecast information from reliable and trusted sources, such as from the National Hurricane Center and your local National Weather Service office. Know the difference between a watch and a warning. For example, a hurricane watch means that hurricane conditions are possible within 48 hours, and a hurricane warning means that hurricane conditions are expected within 36 hours. Pay more attention to the impacts of the storm rather than its category, and remember that deadly hazards can and do occur well outside of the forecast cone. Stay informed throughout the season. During hurricane season, the National Hurricane Center issues tropical weather outlooks that displays the area and the chance a disturbance could develop into a tropical cyclone. The X marks the current center position, and in the 7-day outlook, the hatched area outlines the area where development could occur. If you mouse over either the X or the hatched areas, you will see a discussion with additional details along with the exact percentage chance of tropical cyclone formation. New for this year is a mobile-friendly version of the National Hurricane Center's website. This will allow you to view the latest forecast on the go and have access to the full suite of products directly from the Hurricane Center on your mobile device. This is expected to go live around the beginning of hurricane season. Now, here are two products that you'll typically see on the National Hurricane Center's website throughout the season. The first one is the Tropical Weather Outlook, which we briefly discussed a little bit ago. These outlooks are available from May 15th through November 30th and displays the probabilities for tropical cyclone development within a 2-day or 7-day period. On the right-hand side of the screen is forecast advisories, which become available once a tropical cyclone has either developed or will develop soon. These advisories display the most recent position for the storm, along with all of the watches and warnings, including over inland areas. It also includes a 3-day or a 5-day forecast error cone. This cone represents a 5-year average error, and the center of the storm only stays within the cone 67% of the time. Remember that impacts can and do occur well outside of the forecast cone. Both the National Hurricane Center and your local National Weather Service office are great resources to stay informed throughout the season. Our websites and social media platforms can be found on the left-hand side of the screen. Be sure to follow us on social media and bookmark these websites and reach out to us if you have any questions. On the bottom of the screen is a QR code. Open up the camera app on your phone and focus the viewfinder on the code. A link will pop up and you'll click that and it'll take you directly to our 2026 Hurricane Guide. Be sure to bookmark this site and note that at the bottom of that page is a link to download it in a PDF format to save it to your device for offline use. Our Hurricane Guide is also available in Spanish. You'll find that on the top of the page in the news headlines section. To wrap things up, get your preparations done before hurricane season begins and stay informed throughout the season to know when and if you need to take action. Please don't wait before a storm to be named before you develop your plan. The time to prepare is now. Thank you for joining and taking the first steps to preparing for the upcoming hurricane season. Let's stay vigilant, let's stay safe, and let's stay prepared. Thank you.